Administration's decision to file suit against the state of Arizona over its immigration law has sparked a fierce backlash among several state governors, now many of them Democrats, and their anger boiled over at this weekend's National Governors Association. Now, Tennessee Democrat Phil Bredesen seemed to speak for the group, saying, quote, universally, the governors are saying we've got to talk about jobs, and then all of a sudden we have immigration going on. It is such a toxic subject, such an important time for Democrats. Now, Colorado Democratic Governor Bill Ritter raised concern that the Justice Department's lawsuit may hurt Democrats in the November elections. Now, he told the New York Times, quote, I might have chosen both a different tack and a different time. This is an issue that divides us politically, and I'm hopeful that their strategy doesn't do that in a way that makes it more difficult for candidates to get elected, particularly in the West. But none of these concerns are stopping the administration. Attorney General Eric Holder, he signaled over the weekend that he's open to filing another lawsuit against the state of Arizona. Now, the current suit does not focus on the alleged racial profiling aspects of the Arizona law, but hey, maybe the next one will.
It doesn't mean that if the law, for whatever reason, happened to go into effect, that 6 months from now, a year from now, we might not look at the impact the law has had and whether or not there has been that racial profiling impact. And if that was the case, we would have the tools and we would bring suit on that basis.
All right, and joining me now with analysis is the former governor of the great state of Alaska, Fox News contributor Sarah Palin. Governor, welcome back.
Hey, thank you so much, Sean. Great to be with you.
You know, the funny thing to me is the entire argument against the Arizona immigration law dealt with the idea that you can't bring your kids into an ice cream shop and not be asked where are your papers. That was the entire argument that they were making. They filed a lawsuit. The lawsuit doesn't even mention that. Do you think it's because of legal grounds?
Well, I think that's very unfortunate that rhetoric was used to scare people off from the support that Governor Jan Brewer and the Arizona law deserve to have, because there was never racial profiling in the bill to start with. And Arizona was very cognizant of the threat that perhaps they would see that and the accusation that there was racial profiling allowance in that bill. So they were extra careful to make sure that it wasn't in there. So now to hear the feds say that they're looking at maybe filing a second suit, depending on how the law is implemented, and the second suit would prohibit racial profiling. That's just more rhetoric. It's more of an attempt to get people divided and to get people shying away from supporting this obvious common sense bill that was necessary in Arizona. It's going to be necessary in other states, too.
Well, David Axelrod said this weekend, he said, quote, no administration has been tougher on enforcement as it relates to illegal immigration. Your reaction? That's bogus. I mean, just look at the budget and you're going to see that money speaks louder than words. They have decreased funding for Border Patrol, and they have not planned for extension of the fence. And that's what we have to do first, is secure the border, physically secure it. And except for the footage, the distance that's already been planned for, President Obama hasn't planned for extending that. So, no, you know, their actions are speaking louder than Axelrod's words. All right, let me, because all of this is now converging. Obviously, they're willing to go at odds with the American people on immigration, on the war on terror, on energy independence, and on the stimulus and on debt and deficits, and we'll go into these in great specificity. But bigger picture, as we look at, we're 113 days out of the election. It was interesting for me this weekend, and we'll get into this in more detail. Robert Gibbs suggesting that he thinks, well, there's a lot of competitive races out there, basically suggesting that the administration is acknowledging that they may, by the way, a plane just took off behind you, that they may lose the House.
Probably Todd.
Probably hi, Todd. But they may lose the House of Representatives. I argue that is probably a strategy by the Democrats to raise expectations to the point where anything short of taking over the House and Senate, they will be able to try and spin as a defeat for Republicans. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree that probably is the strategy. But, you know, I hope that in this case, Gibbs' words do come true, because we are on the path towards insolvency. We are not addressing the main problems that the American people are expecting their federal government to assist with, and that is allowing the private sector to create the jobs, securing our borders, making sure that we have health care that is affordable, not a government program that's been shoved down our throats. All those problems that are surfacing and people are getting
ticked off at the federal government and the Obama administration, and they want these things addressed. In this case, yeah, I hope what Gibbs is spewing isn't just that campaign strategy to raise expectations. I hope it comes true.
All right, but 50%, we're going to stay on the economy for just a second. 50%, Rasmussen poll, now rate Obama's economic performance as poor. He only has 38% support among independents in a recent poll. And, you know, if you look at some of these other numbers, even the Carville-Greenberg poll, they're not looking good for the president. So the president set up a debt commission. All right, Erskine Bowles, Senator Simpson, they're on this debt commission. I believe this is a commission that is designed to provide cover in the end so that those in Washington can raise everybody's taxes. Do you think the Republicans will fall for that? Is that a danger? Thomas Sowell thinks it is.
Republicans had better not fall for that. And so often that is why a commission or a task force is set up by the CEO of a state, or in this case, our nation. President Obama is going to have an easy out if this commission comes forth with a proposal to increase taxes or implement something that is taking away from our families and our small businesses, and that's going to be unfortunate. It allows him cover. A CEO, again, in this case, a president, who doesn't have a backbone and can stand up and say, no, let's get back to our time-tested truths and understand that the free market is going to be able to work best and create jobs, allow the job creators to keep more of what they earn and produce and then hire more people. That's how we're going to roll this economy along. Unless a president has a backbone and understands that the principles of the free market work best, then, yeah, I assume that he will take that cover that could be provided him from a debt commission, and he'll, you know, kind of point fingers and say, they told me to do it, they're the experts.
You know, Governor, you have been one of the strongest, most outspoken members in support of the Tea Party movement. I've met a lot of members, organizers of the Tea Party movement. I've been at some of their rallies. I've witnessed it up close and personal. Members of the NAACP are going to vote tomorrow on a resolution that condemns what the group calls, the NAACP, explicitly racist behavior by supporters of the Tea Party movement. I wanted to get your reaction to that.
Yeah, this is some typical divisive politics that is so absolutely unnecessary, especially at this time of turmoil within our country. Turmoil when you consider the state of the economy and so many other challenges that we're facing. This is just so unnecessary. Nope, the Tea Party movement is a beautiful movement full of diverse people, diverse backgrounds, folks of all walks of life who, for the most part, happen to oppose President Obama's policies, not the color of his skin. They don't care that he's half white or half black. It has nothing to do with the person's skin tone, what their politics or their policies are about.
Hey, look, Andrew Breitbart offered $100,000 for anybody that could produce a video showing that members of Congress, that there were racial epithets that were hurled at them, and nobody was able to collect $100,000. It seems to me, if we go back in the history, there was a 1998 Democratic Party Missouri radio ad that said, if you elect Republicans, black churches will burn. The NAACP ran that controversial James Byrd ad. Do you think this has to do with the fact Democrats are down 113 days out of the election? Is this to help energize the base of the Democratic Party?
Well, it's very unfortunate that they're taking this tactic because it's a false accusation that Tea Party Americans are racist. Any good American hates racism. We don't stand for it. It is unacceptable. So to be called a racist, yeah, those over there on the left who are opposing that good message of Tea Party Americans are using this racism accusation in order to keep people away from not only the movement, but keeping a wall built between what the message actually is and the American public that is today receiving that message very well. False accusation, very unfortunate, and again, very, very unnecessary. And the president and his wife, you know, the first lady spoke at NAACP so recently. They have power in their words. They could repudiate what it is that this group is saying, and they could set the record straight, and they could correct what this false accusation is, that the Tea Party American, that movement, is racist.
And the First Lady spoke there today in the lead up to this resolution tomorrow, and we'll have a lot more on it on tomorrow's program. Governor, stay right there. We got a lot more with Governor Palin coming up after the break, plus much